Yo, yo.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, thanks, bro. How you going?
Good, man. Good. Well, thank you for jumping on and joining me.
You're most welcome. How's the mic? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, perfect. Everything's good. Quality good.
Awesome. How's the morning been? Good?
Yeah, good, good. Just was doing some editing for a client yesterday that I went and shot from, and then apart from that, rest day. No, training quads this afternoon, so just kind of getting ready to sink into that. So,
Yeah, beautiful, man. That's fantastic. Sounds like a lovely day ahead.
yes, I can't complain. It's one of those crazy days. I've been doing lots of shoots nonstop, and then it's kind of nice. It's my first day where I can just kind of sit, relax, kind of take it at my own pace today.
Yeah, you
And
take
have
those
a chat
days,
with
you
you,
take
and
those days for granted sometimes, don't you?
literally, but it's nice. Sometimes I feel like they kind of come at just like the right time.
Oh, for sure. Those days are usually somehow the universe plans them out perfectly. Like it's one of those days you wake up and you're like, oh, I feel like I'm dragging a little bit of ass today. I feel, and then you kind of looked at and you're like, oh, fantastic. Today's a reset day. I can just kind of, I don't have to stress too much. I've obviously still got things to do, but I can kind of take things more so at my own pace and not have to kind of rush and, speed things up essentially.
Yes, definitely. I think we need to learn to not take them for granted. Be more present when we can.
Oh, for sure. Sometimes it's just as simple as just taking a deep breath and just understanding what's going on around you. And that's a big thing that I tell other guys and they're always like, I got to do this and I got to do it. Hey, listen, man, just stop for a second, take a big breath. Everything's all right. Like, just slow down. We don't have to be 100 miles an hour all the time. If we're going too fast, sometimes we miss some things along the way. So,
Yeah. That's so underrated. I listened to a podcast a while ago and about that when you feel kind of like super overwhelmed or you feel like you're going, and if you can just find that slight moment to remember to stop, take a deep breath, all of a
mm,
sudden, like in that moment, even if it's just for a few seconds, you like instantly become present in what you're doing and where you are because of like what that breath does to your nervous system.
yeah, for sure. It's just about creating like clarity as well. Clarity is a big thing. Sometimes, you know, weeks can go by and we don't even know, like, what did I do last week? Because it's such a blur. And that's what I mean. Like taking that breath and kind of just having a moment of clarity and being like, all right, what am I actually doing? I've been on autopilot for the last 3, 4 days because I'm just go, go, go.
Yeah.
What am I doing? Is it serving me right? Do you know what I mean? Like those little things, like checking in on yourself, something I think that's it's very highly underrated at the moment, as everyone's just trying to do too much too fast, and it's just like slow it down. You're gonna get there. Just take a breath.
Definitely. How have you found like this prep, taking that into I guess consideration? How much have you tried to focus? Because I think especially with prep being so focused on ticking all those boxes, making sure you're doing what needs to get done, but you know, being able to, like you said, to have those moments of clarity, have those moments of reflections to go, I'm so happy just to be here to meal prepping. I'm happy to be here, ticking this box on you, going for your, getting your steps in, whatever it may be. How often did you find yourself being able to be present in the moment?
For me, I think it's something that I started pretty much off the back end of the last prep that I did back in, was that 2023 at the Nationals, and that was the first prep I'd done in a really long time. And I think just as like athletes and as people who want to, do well, and they just, we want to do the best that we can do. So we always hold ourselves to like a certain standard. And through that prep, I found like that I wasn't being as present as what I should. I was only focusing on I have to do this and I have to do that. And then, when I finished the prep, was happy with the results and everything like that. But then I was kind of looking back and I couldn't really remember too much of the prep. It was more so of a blur. And I think the big reason for that was because I wasn't spending the time and, you know, spending the time and actually appreciating that I get to do this. It's not I have to. It's more so reframing it to like I get to do this. I don't have to. I don't have to get up at 4 in the morning and do an hour worth of like fasted cardio, and I don't have to, go to the gym and bust my ass and do like, do you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
I don't have to do these things. I get to do them, and I'm privileged to do these things. So that was something that I took off the back end of the last prep that I did. and throughout the whole off season as well, like leading up to the 2025 prep for Queensland Nationals. That was just something like it's I like to set like daily reminders on my phone
Hmm.
to just remind myself of certain things. And as cheesy as it sounds, it's just like, setting little reminders on your phone, and it could be like an alarm that you set at, say, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And for me, that middle of the day period is a funny time for me, as I've already been up for about 6 hours by then. I've gotten some meals in. I've usually trained by about that 2 o'clock, and 2 o'clock's where, I'm starting to come down a little bit, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
And you know, 2 o'clock's also like usually I'm getting home from training and I'm going back into my next work block with clients and everything like that too. And I'll be sitting there and I'll just be very lethargic. And usually that alarm will come on when I'm kind of sitting down and I'm not feeling myself. And then it'll just be like a simple message. It's like you're doing everything you can, just little things like that. Just setting little reminders like, it's okay to be tired. It's okay to feel the way you are. Um, and then, just sitting there reading that, taking that big breath, everything's gonna be fine. I'm just a little tired because, I'm in a massive deficit. I've just done this session. I've had a stressful week. It's okay to feel that way. And I think me understanding and like listening to myself and my body a lot more was a big reason for how smoothly this prep and everything has run, and even kind of coming into our health phase now. I just had my a small check-in with Dean on Monday, and I'm someone who's also very mindful, and I'm very focused on what I want to do and what I want to achieve. So I've already essentially written down the next 18 months of processes of what I want to go through and work towards. So I'll have a proper sit down with Dean next Monday, and we'll discuss that over a phone FaceTime. But organizing my meals and everything. All right, I got to hit this. I got to hit that. Dean has a look at my food, and he's like, Ryan, you're not eating enough. You need to eat more food. And I'm just like, oh, really? Like, I, I thought like 3,300 calories would be like a sweet spot coming out of like a competition phase. And he's like, no, just let's bump it up to like 35, 3,600. He's like, just chill out. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
And it's like it's also very it's refreshing to have a coach like that as well, to be able to you know pull you in when you need to be pulled in, but also kind of like let the lead out and be like, it's okay, you can go a
Yeah.
little bit further. You don't have to stress, like everything's gonna be fine. Like we're in a good spot. So yeah, just going into the show with that type of mindset, going into I think all aspects of life as well, not just that, but business, how I approach like my work with my clients and everything as well. They can see when I'm talking to them and when I'm setting them up, everything is genuine. Everything is like me taking everything they say on board, not just like, look at the numbers, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. It's like,
Mm.
working together. So,
It's important. I think like one of the biggest things that you said too, which I think a lot of people kind of fall out of, especially during prep, is like, you spend like 60, some people spend 24, some people spend 16, however long you spend for your prep. And you're doing it all for really like 1 minute, for your posing routine on stage, and then however long, depending where you are placing. You may
yeah,
only really be
exactly.
up on that stage for like an extra 30 seconds. So,
Mm,
it's actually I think it's easy to get carried away to go into, oh, it's all about this moment of stepping stage, but that part is what goes so quickly. So it is
yeah,
really
exactly.
about really being present and enjoying that journey of getting to stage. So it's great that you're able to really find moments to be present and enjoy that and have the reminders on your phone, because that kind of leads into the importance of self-love, really. I think,
Oh, 100%.
having a circle is great. Having a tight knit people, having a great coach that can lift you up, or, set you straight if you're kind of pushing too hard or if you're not pushing hard enough. But at the end of the day, like, that's right. Don't have contact with someone 24/7. You have it in your brain and your
Yeah,
mind. So it's
exactly.
self-talk. So it's great that like you said, you know, that I know what you mean. Like I get up early too. So I get that like sluggish, just that like 1 p.m. to like that 3 o'clock, where it's like kind of, if you got up at like 7 or 8, that's like that 5 or 6, you start to feel a bit
That's that
angry.
crossover.
And then when
You
you've got
reach,
to
you're
go
reaching
into,
for the second can of
yeah,
Ghost by then, and or
yeah,
you're
literally.
like, all right, where's the coffee? Where
Yeah.
I need something to get me going. I need that pick me up. So yeah,
And it's great to know that, and I hope anyone listening kind of takes that on board. And hopefully, if they're not applying that to themselves, they start like setting up little reminders, whether, yeah, like you said, on your phone, sticky notes, anything, just that positive self-talk to yourself can really go far.
Well, for sure. I think it's very important. It's like you have to love yourself before you love other people. And one of my favorite sayings is the man who enjoys the walk will always walk further than the person who enjoys the destination. So I think that's a big thing that people have to understand. It's, you know, in this industry as well, obviously social media is such a big thing, and people get influenced by all these personalities and so on and so forth. And I see a lot of like young men and young women like just wanting to compete.
Mm.
And I'm like, why do you want to compete? And they're like, oh, but my favorite influencer, they competed, so I thought I'd compete. I'm like, well, is it something that you actually want to do, or is it something that it's kind of become glorified because they've done it? Because from firsthand experience, I've had a lot of friends that have kind of seen my journey, and it's inspired them, and they've wanted to go on and do a show. But they've gotten into the process of it, and let's say maybe usually, and you'll find this a lot with I guess you could say first timers and everyone, they're documenting their prep. I'm smashing it. 12 weeks out, 10 weeks out, 8 weeks out, 6 weeks out, radio silence.
Yeah.
Where's this person gone? Where have they gone? That's 6 weeks out. Where are they? Then all of a sudden, 12 weeks later, growth phase, prepping for 2027. It's like, what happened over the last 10
Yeah.
weeks? So we kind of missed that patch there. And again, like prep isn't for everybody. It is hard. And I think that's why when you're getting into this type of sport, you really need to understand yourself, and you need to kind of like ask yourself, why am I doing this? Am I doing it because I really enjoy it? Or am I doing it because I'm seeing other people doing it and I'm feeling left out and I want to be a part of a group? Because at the end of the day, you need to make sure that all your morals and all your goals and everything align with what you want to do. So therefore, when you are doing it, you're going to be doing it to the best of your ability. There's not going to be those moments of where you're like, I don't have to do this little extra bit of cardio. I don't have to do this. Whereas I'm someone, when I'm in a prep, I'm really bad for overdoing it. And I need that person to be able to pull me in, being like, Ryan, you don't have to be doing these many steps. You don't have to be, you know, doing extra cardio. Like everything's fine. And I think that's a good trait to have.
I
Um,
agree. I agree.
but also, like again, if you don't have the right coach or you don't have the right people around you, especially who understand the sport,
Hmm.
it can be a detriment as well. So it's like, a little
I
bit of
think,
push, a little bit of pull,
yeah, I
finding
think,
the sweet spot.
I definitely think it's kind of a foundation of a good athlete, of someone who's going to go far, needing kind of having that mentality of wanting to always do that extra. I think that's the great foundation. And then you kind of pair it with a good coach who can kind of say, okay, let's step it back. You don't need to do much there, but because you kind of have someone who doesn't want to go that extra mile and then wonder why they never actually succeed, even though they may be following all the dots or, listening to the coach, or then they're going, oh, because they're actually not trying 100%. Then they're going, oh, well, why should I be listening to coach? I'm not getting the results. And they don't realize that it's actually them. So I think, I agree that there's a give and push, but I think it's definitely a foundation to becoming a good athlete. And,
I
it
think,
showed within
yeah,
your physique and, how you've placed and stuff. And a lot of people that I've talked to also have that same mentality of like they like to push a bit too hard, but that's
yeah,
because they have that passion and drive.
yeah. I think it shows the character
Mm.
of the individual when you know they're essentially in the fire in prep, and instead of getting out of the fire, they're going deeper into it because
Yeah.
they're wanting to do the best they can, and they're willing to essentially burn themselves a little bit more to get to that point. And again, sometimes all good things take time. If you're in the right spot and if you're with the right coach, then I think prep should be something where it is enjoyable. Um, you know, I hear a lot of horror stories about, people, they're 20 weeks out and the coach has already got them doing, 60 minutes cardio, AM, PM, and things like that. And, that's just what I've heard from other people. But again, I think in this industry as well, it's like a double-edged short sword. So you hear a lot of clients whinging about their coaches and what they do sometimes, but then it's also like, are you doing everything that you need to do? Like, did you get way too fat in your off season? Were you following the plan? Were you doing everything that you could? Or is this something that he has to do now because you've made these mistakes as well? So it's like, whenever I hear about these things as well, I take it with a grain of salt because it's one of those things. It's a 50-50.
But it
If you're hearing someone's story, you can't hear the other person's story
yeah,
to defend themselves. So
definitely.
it's one of those things. It's a very subjective sport, and I think especially when an athlete doesn't do as well as what they want to, they're always going to look to shift the blame instead of being like, "Hey, listen, I was the one that fucked up. I was the one that I didn't follow this to the T, and that was the reason why I got the result. Like the coach did everything that he could." But I was the one who like I slipped up on my plan. I ate out. I was missing cardio sessions. That's on me. So
Yeah. But I think, like you said, it's true a bit before about social media and the people following different things and seeing, oh, well, this person's not doing, said cardio and they've done zero cardio and they've only been hitting steps throughout their whole prep. And it's like you said, it's like, well, they're ticking all the boxes. Are you really ticking all the boxes? Are you being honest with yourself? I think that's definitely, even with competing, like you said, people kind of seeing your journey or seeing others people journeying and then going, or seeing people that have competed, done well and then have a good coaching business. So then certain coaches who haven't competed go, well, if I step on stage and I do well, it's going to help my business. It's
yeah,
interesting to kind of see how much, I guess, social media can or has affected different aspects within the, bodybuilding and coaching community.
yeah, I completely agree. It's something that I think, especially you'll see it a lot with first time competitors as well. They'll go on, they'll do their competition. Regardless of how well they do, they might win their class, they might get a top three, they might get a first call out, they might not even get a first call out. But then they use that as a platform to try and bring on other clients and other individuals. And hey, listen, at the end of the day, if that's what you want to do, then fantastic. Like we all start from somewhere. But just ensuring that you're not just doing that competition to
Yeah.
enhance like your business and things like that. That's with myself and how I compete. And you know, I've always competed. Like I was competing before I got into the fitness industry. I was a chef for 10 years before I got into this.
That's cool.
And yeah, so that was one of the things. It's like I wasn't competing to enhance my chefing,
Yeah.
making everyone like, oh, come watch the chef. I can do bodybuilding. So it's something that essentially like I just fell into it after a while. I was working in kitchens and I was really getting into bodybuilding. So I was starting to train and, doing all my own research and, going through buying the encyclopedia of bodybuilding with Arnold and, mapping out my diets and everything from there. And, starting to watch, John Meadows and all these like, the OGs of YouTube and, you know, basing a lot of my training and everything around there. And everyone's like, oh, why are you using resistance bands? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? So, and then after a while, I just started like training a couple of my friends in the gym. They're like, "You're really good at this."
Yeah.
End up like getting my certs. What's that? 6 years ago, and then yeah, here I am, still fully online now. I do miss the online, the face-to-face aspect. Is like I feel like I'm very meticulous with how I do things.
Mm.
When people watch me train in the gym as well, they're like, "How do you like?" It's very. I'd say my training style is very similar to like a Justin Shire
Yeah.
or even like a Dorian Yates type approach where it's like very slow, very methodical, like using good weight, but also like the control.
Yeah.
So yeah, time on attention. That's my
Hey,
favorite type of training with obviously intensity and everything there as well. So yeah.
I'd love to kind of go back a bit. So that's really cool that you're a chef. So how long were you a chef for, and then how did that kind of transition? Like the whole time you were a chef, were you in like had you found bodybuilding and you were getting into it? Like at what point did you kind of go, I want to start competing and bodybuilding stood out to you? And how did you, because did you when you were a chef, were you doing like late nights, like you were working in restaurants and doing all the late finishes, or were you kind of early mornings, or how did it all kind of blend together?
Yeah, So I've been working in kitchens probably since the age of 14.
Yeah.
So just as kitchen hands, just washing up dishes, all that type of stuff. And then I got my apprenticeship in Sydney back when I was 19 years old. And I was earning back then as a first year apprentice, I think it was about 350 bucks a week. I was renting a single studio bedroom apartment in Glebe, which is down near the fish markets in Sydney. I was paying $280 a week there for rent.
Damn.
So I didn't have much left at the end of the week.
Yeah.
So um, I also originally I'm from Port Macquarie, so I'd moved 4 hours south to Sydney. I didn't have any friends. I only had the guys that I work with, and
Mm.
I stumbled upon this little gym at Victoria Park, near Broadway Shopping Centre. And I saw that they were doing like $10 a week student uh, gym
Discount.
membership.
Yeah.
So I ended up signing myself up there. So um, and then from there, I was always like a bit of a chubby kid.
Mm.
And I got to the point where obviously, you're 18, 19 years old, you're like, oh, I want to look good for the ladies. I want to do this. So started going to the gym. And honestly, like my hours in the kitchen would normally be, I'd be starting at about 8 in the morning, usually finishing around anywhere from 10 at night or 12, sometimes midnight. So,
Yeah, long day.
anywhere from 12 to 15-hour days, um, 4 to 6 days a week, sometimes during the peak season. Around that Christmas period, I'd do maybe like 2 weeks on, 2 days off. I still remember there was a week back in 2020. It was the centennial year of like the naval ships and everything
Yeah.
coming into Australia. And that week I worked 111 hours.
Fuck.
Yeah, so it was wake up at 6 in the morning. Um, I'm sorry, wake up at 5 in the morning, get to the kitchen by 6, work there. I might have like a 15-20 minute break halfway throughout the day, and I'd be finishing normally around like 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the morning. So really, really big
Yeah,
days.
that's a long
And
day.
yeah, so when I did have any spare time, because I didn't have a lot of money or I didn't have any friends, I'd literally just go to the gym. So on quieter days, I'd go 2 times a day. Um, and yeah, I remember starting in the gym. I was training for probably about 8 months, and I had one of the, I guess you could say, one of the membership consultants come up to me and be like, "Oh, you've changed quite a bit over like the last 6 months. You've made some good progress. Have you ever thought about competing?" And I was like, "No, just trying to look good." And then after he said that, I kind of like left something in my head, and I was like, "Oh, I might have a look into this." So I ended up looking at a show with the IMBA. That was my first ever show back in 2020. Um, no, not 2020. Let's go back. I'm 10 years. What is it? Sorry,
That's fine.
2008, I think.
Yeah.
Where am I? I don't know. No, 2012. Sorry,
Yeah.
bugging up all my dates. So, yeah, back in 2012, and I was 20, just turned 20 at the time, and yeah, I found a show that was about 26 weeks out, and I was like, okay, cool. I'm just gonna I'm just gonna have a crack at this, see how I go. I did my whole prep through using Arnold Schwarzenegger's Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding.
Yo, that's cool.
Yeah, so I was doing his training split, chest and back,
Yeah.
supersetting, chin ups into bench press, all that type of stuff. Following his diet, oats and eggs in the morning, chicken, rice and broccoli and beef, steak and potatoes.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, it was really, really cool. It was a fun process to do by myself. And I ended up placing third at the nationals at the IMBA in the juniors, which was really, really cool. And then from there, I kind of got hooked.
Mm.
Um, Obviously, not to the extent that I am now, and to the level I am now, but it was a really nice introduction to bodybuilding. Um, so yeah, that's where I started. And then 2 years, 3 years after that, I prepped myself for my first IFBB show. Competed in the under 80s there. I think I finished, was in the first call out, so I didn't place in that show. And again, that was a show that I prepped myself
Mm.
for. I obviously gathered a little bit more knowledge and everything by then, and also entered the enhanced realm, uh, which was a which was an experience. Obviously, being around that time, um, I didn't know a great deal about performance enhancing drugs. So I was reading up on a lot of forums. Also, one of the OG YouTube guys, I think it was Dylan Gemelli from Knowledge, he would basically put up the all the anabolics that there were. He would kind of break them down into like, this would be the amount you use. If you're this size, this is how long. So that was kind of like how I was basing everything off before I ended up finishing that prep and then jumping on with my first coach from there. So
No, that's cool. That I love just like I think I'm sure not everyone probably could have followed that Arnold Encyclopedia and did that prep, and I think also it just would have made the experience so fun. And then you have such a unique experience to then compare to like yeah, even working with Dean and even your last prep, and then even
mm,
having prepping yourself and then doing your next like IFBB show, still prepping yourself. It must be such I think some people go have too much pressure. Like I feel like you were able to experience it without any pressure, so it kind of really helped you fall in love with the process and allow you to kind of really explore all like aspects of it, where I think sometimes now these days some people, because of social media or because of watching someone else in that, they have so much pressure on a prep, and they have so much pressure with wanting to play, so much pressure with having the right coach. So I feel like you've had a really good journey from like where it started to kind of how it got here, and it's only just really grown your love for the sport.
yeah, exactly. I think it's just like anything, there's always going to be an evolution, you know, and that's like my philosophy and my mindset, which is life in general. So, if I'm doing something, I want to make sure that I'm getting better at it. I don't want to be one of those people that are just doing it for the sake of doing it,
Mm.
because then for me, I'm someone who is, I'm driven by progression, and I'm someone who, I hold myself to a high standard. So, you know, I played a lot of high level sports when I was younger because if I do something, I want to be the best at it,
Yeah.
and that's my mindset. It's with business, with when I was a chef, same thing. As soon as I'd go into a new kitchen and be like, "Who's the best chef in here?" All right, I want your job in 6 months,
Yeah.
and that's what I'd do because again, like I'd go into like work early. I'd be an hour before everyone. I'd stay an hour before. Like I was again, that's my mindset of like trying to do too
Yeah.
much sometimes. But I think again, having that mindset, especially early on, is something that's really important as well to to show that you are willing to go the next level. You are willing to like take these steps because other people will see it and they'll be like, this guy's actually like,
Mm.
he's in it. He's actually going after it. So in that sense, it can inspire others as well. And if it does, fantastic. If it doesn't, then it is what it is. Like, but I'm not doing what I'm doing. I'm not doing it out of I have to impress other people.
Yeah.
The only person I'm trying to impress is myself. And like one of the big things, like when I was talking about mindset and everything with you before, I actually recorded sounds a bit cheesy. I recorded a video to myself 2 weeks before the Queenslands, and I was congratulating myself on
Yeah.
winning the overall and winning my class.
That's
And I
awesome.
wasn't allowed, yeah, and I wasn't allowed to watch it until the day after. And I sat there and I watched it, and I was like, it's
Fuck
pretty
yeah.
cool. And again, like I'm not someone who's arrogant. I'd like to think I'm the furthest thing from arrogant. I like to think I'm a very humble individual. But I know what I can do and I know what I can achieve. And
Yeah.
if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Like
Mm.
because the last person I want to lie to is myself.
Yeah.
So
I think it's cool. It's kind of like I can imagine like would it be such a wholesome moment sitting there knowing you just did what the past you is saying to you, and you're kind of one proving that version of you before competing, right? And then then you're proving the one of you now going, yeah, I said it, I did it, I knew I would do it. It's like that unwavering belief. And I think that's so important and what contributes to being a top level athlete.
yeah, I think it's at the end of the day, you have to have faith in yourself. And, I think when you go into a prep or an off season or whatever you're doing, you need to hold yourself to a standard and you need to really be realistic and like look at yourself in the mirror. And that's something that I do like regularly. It's like, am I doing enough? Am I taking the steps I need to take to get to that next level. And I knew throughout that whole prep that I did that there was no one that was working harder than me in that prep. There was no one that was doing the things that I was doing to progress. Like everyone I spoke to, they could say that like, I'm training hard.
Yeah.
And I'm in my head, I'm like, that's fantastic. But in my head, I'm like, I know I'm training harder than you.
Yeah.
I know I'm doing my cardio harder than you. I know that I'm weighing everything to the gram. I'm doing this. And, I think when we do that, we can actually really look at ourselves in the mirror and be like, you know what, I've done everything that I can. And I think a big thing as well is, also understanding that it's okay to essentially have these standards
Mm.
for ourselves and not essentially be like, I might sound a bit cocky or I might sound a bit arrogant. And I don't think it is in any sense of the word. I think it's just you wanting what's best for you and you understanding that if you go through the steps and you do all this hard work, that you should be able to reach those goals and those achievements that you want to achieve. So
100%. Like I like to like I've had this argument with a few different people before, and it's kind of like understanding self-love and that it's not real self-love and confidence is not arrogance and selfish. And like what you're saying to me is that real self-love and confidence because you are setting yourself at a standard. You're not, that's right, you're not openly being rude and putting others down and going, you're not training as hard as I am. You're just going, I'm setting a standard for myself, and it's all within your mental headspace. And that's where it's like, yeah, I 100% agree. I don't think you sound arrogant or cocky. You are just
yeah,
truly setting a standard to yourself that you want to meet. And if you meet that standard, great things are going to happen. It's like really
yeah,
similar to like, Chris Bumstead. That was the whole thing. He said the same thing, like, that champion mentality of like going, all you people are saying you trained harder, but I know I trained the hardest and I did the job and there was no stone left unturned.
yeah, exactly. That was one of the things I actually said in the video. I said to myself was referring to like I did this prep and I know that I left no stone unturned. And I actually found extra stones along the way to turn over just in
Mm,
case
that's
that I
awesome.
hadn't turned enough. You know what I mean? So and again, it's one of those things. It's like hey Ryan, I want you to do 3 25 minutes of cardio this week. I'm like, done. 3 minutes of 30-minute cardio coming up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'll add that little bit on just in case.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, it can be a detriment. I understand. Like, I'm at that level now where I can understand when to pull back, but I also can be completely transparent with Dean and also be like, hey, if we need to, I'm ready to dig. I'm ready to go that little bit more if we need to. And I think him as a coach, he respects that as well.
Mm,
So again, complete transparency, I think,
yeah.
is a very important thing, and that's what creates a great coaching client
Mm,
relationship. Is no secrets, like being completely open and honest, and that's going to be the best way that guys work together. You formulate the plan needed. And, again, like me and Dean's relationship is fantastic. I couldn't ask for a better coach, mentor. He's a really good friend of mine. And I was lucky enough to spend a couple of weeks with him and Cam over in the States, travel
yeah.
around with them, and get to have a little bit of one-on-one time with him, and see what makes him tick, and the processes that he goes through with clients and everything. And I left America just um, only only appreciating him more and
Yeah.
seeing like the level of athletes that he does coach
Yeah.
and the settings and everything that he does it in as well, and just the professionalism and him being able to separate himself from being a friend and being a coach as well. So there's none of that bias. It's like oh coach, I'm feeling a little bit run down this week. Oh well, we'll bump the carbs up for the next 2 days. It's like I'm feeling a little bit tired. Good, you're meant to be feeling tired because we're digging here. So let's keep going. So
He he's a great coach. I've always had a lot of respect for him. I've always like, I was always following him when he was like competing, and like I was always ashamed that he like always just kind of missed out like when he was doing the UK shows with Joe his coach Joe Physique
yeah,
Collective
physique.
and that.
Yeah.
So, he's a great coach. He's got great athletes, and I think he's definitely one of Australia's like, top coaches.
Oh, 100%.
I
Again, I
think
can't speak any higher of him.
I think what you said is also super important, that transparency, and is great. And I think a lot of Dean's clients have that transparency with him. And I think it's important because really it's just more data. It's like what you said. It's like if you've done that extra bit of cardio, instead of like lying or not being honest or like, keeping it to yourself, telling him, look, I've done this. It is what it is. But you can track that data and find more variables to really see how far you can push your fatigue before it gets too much. And you
Yeah,
may end up
exactly.
finding that new sweet spot where it's like, if you didn't tell him, that could have made things worse. But you telling him and then going, you know what, that actually works. We can now play this around to try and even bring a level of conditioning even more. Where,
Yeah, that's exactly
so I
right.
think it's really good, the transparency.
Yeah, I think that right there, especially with online coaches, is the most important thing at the end of the day, and that's something that I really express to all my clients. You know, like come in, we do our check-ins. Old Sally Susan's done a check-in for the week. She's only weighed in twice. She's only logged, her output 3 times that week, and her photos are in terrible lighting. And what am I meant to do with this?
Mm,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
You've given me 10% this week. I need minimum like 90, ideally 100%,
yeah,
especially if that's a client that's like talking about, oh, I wouldn't mind doing a show in the future. I'm like, well, not with this level of compliancy. Do you know what I mean? And
yeah,
again, I do. I'm someone who I'm very adaptable to all my clients, with like personalities and approach to. But I'm also someone who can crack the whip, and I've done that. Um, not lately, but with a couple of especially young males who are looking at competing in the very near future, and just telling them it's like if if you were coaching yourself, would you be happy with the amount of information and data that you're giving yourself, or would you tell this individual that they need to pull their finger out? They're talking about all these great things that they want to achieve, but they can't even log their daily weight, or they can't
yeah.
even submit their check-in on time. So you know what I mean? Like hold yourself to a higher standard.
It's so important. It's like what you said a while back, which is, you know, I feel like those people then kind of use the fact that they have a coach to kind of go, oh, I didn't perform well. It was the coach's fault. Like they don't want to take that own
Hmm.
accountability. So it's great that, you're able to show your clients the standard that you set for yourself and hopefully bring that onto them because I think that's really
Yeah,
important.
exactly. Or I do, like at the end of the day, I'd be competing regardless if I had clients and if I had the business that I did, because I love it. It's something that's near and dear to my heart. Um, but the fact that I can go through it, um, I had a lot of clients and everything reaching out to me and being like, it's really inspirational to see that you're able to do this and you're still like, you're coaching us, you're still doing our check-ins and everything. The last 2 weeks, I let them know, like during like nationals and Queensland, there are going to be some days where I'm going to be off, but like I will get back to you
Mm,
guys as soon as possible. And all the messages I receive is like, take your time, you look after yourself. We're really looking forward to seeing the show and everything. And I think that's a great thing as well, that I can do what I love and have that, however many
respect.
couple of days a year where
Mm,
I can actually just concentrate on myself a little bit more, and they're like completely okay with that, because again, you know my clients are always first. Like I want to make sure that I'm doing the best job that I can and giving them the services that they deserve so they can reach all their goals. You know, I'm secondary. Like
yeah.
I've been up since, what's it, 10:45. I've been up since 5. I haven't really moved from the computer this morning because I'm just getting through all client work. I'm behind on meals. It is what it is. I've got to train later today. I'll still train. Everything's going to be
Yeah.
fine, but I'll look after them and then I'll sort myself out. So,
That's because that was a great question that I kind of wanted to ask you. So that kind of leads into it, which was, yeah, how do you really juggle? Like you said, you obviously put your clients first, but how do you juggle being on a prep, especially, then still coaching them? Like you said, you kind of maybe in closer to the state shows and nationals, you kind of give them like the heads up. But do you kind of find you've got a system that works best for you throughout the whole prep? Like just for any coaches listening that maybe
oh yeah,
struggle
for
with,
sure. I think this is the big thing that I actually spoke to a lot of competitors backstage about as well. because I did have some guys competing at the same show as what I did in Queensland.
Mhm.
And they're like, "Oh, how do you manage like your workload and how do you manage?" And I'm like, the exact same as I would in off season, um, because for me, prep is like when we break it down, okay. What is bodybuilding? Bodybuilding is I have to eat a certain amount of food and I have to go to the gym and I have to lift a certain amount of weight to progress my physique. Okay. Now, in a prep phase, what do I have to do? I have to eat a lesser amount of
Less.
food. I still have to go to the gym and perform to the best of my ability. And I probably just have to move my body a little bit more. So when we break it down in that sense, nothing's really changing.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? I'm just having to, I'm probably going to have to be a little bit more organized with my times because, cardio might be added or extra steps might be added. So maybe I'm having to get up half an hour earlier or half an hour bed later or whatever it may be to fit in these little extra bits and pieces. But I can tell you from the start of prep to literally the week out from Queensland's, everything stayed the exact same. Check-ins with all clients stayed the exact same. Nothing changed. So, um, the way that I like to organize my check-ins with clients is, I'd start having clients check in on the Monday,
Mhm.
and then I'd essentially start work either Monday night or start on a Tuesday. I'd like to give myself, Saturday afternoon and Sundays off. So rolling them in like I won't have any clients check in on the weekend, um, depending on if I do have individuals that are coming up into
Yeah.
shows. Again, like when they're coming up into shows, they're doing 2 to 3 check-ins a week, sometimes daily coming into peak week, sometimes after every single meal on peak week, all this
Mm.
type of fun stuff as well. So again, like it's all about just adapting and not overcomplicating things because I think like when an individual goes into prep, it's nearly like they do a 180.
Yeah.
It's like I'm 22 weeks out, and they throw their hands up. What am I going to do? All right, I got to set this. It's
Yeah.
like, bro, you literally all you've done is take 500 calories off your plan. Just just take a breath. It's all
Yeah.
good. So I think it's understanding that like um you know everything should operate as per normal.
Same. Yeah.
Just like when I hear about guys being like 2 weeks out from the show, I'm taking 2 weeks off work, I'm doing this, I'm going to stay in a hotel for a week before
Yeah.
the show. And I'm like, how are you going to support yourself?
Yeah.
Like,
Literally.
but you know what? If that's what they want to do, then I'm all for it.
Mm.
But I'm also someone who, throughout a prep, I don't want to change my I don't want to change how I am as a
Yeah.
person. Like I'll still go out for coffee with the missus in the morning. I'll still be able to go out for like the way that I had my meal plan and everything mapped with Dean would be so I could have a meal out. So I love breakfast. I'm a
Yeah. Yeah.
breakfast guy. And I'm like, Dean, if we can keep 3 eggs and some sourdough in for as long as possible, that would be
Let's do it.
amazing. And then every single Saturday or a Sunday, catch up with a friend or me and the missus go out for breakfast. I just bring my little set of scales, 3 poached eggs. I weigh my sourdough. We're good to go.
Yeah.
So I'm still having that social interaction. I'm not feeling like when people get into a prep, I feel like they box themselves off from the
Yeah.
world. And then like when they get out of prep, it's nearly like,
A shell
what's going
shock.
on? What's
Yeah.
the world like
Yeah.
now? What's
Like
happened in
what's
the
been
last six
happening? Yeah.
months? Yeah, exactly. Like hibernating. So I think the more that you can just understand that, life doesn't change.
Mm.
Like, and in the prep too, if you can have the mindset of like, um, it's it's not the end of the world. It's you're not doing anything. I know this sounds funny. You're not doing anything special.
Yeah.
Okay. And it doesn't give you a reason to act differently towards other people or be an asshole to other people because you're hungry or because you're tired.
Mm.
I think when we have those moments, we have to understand that it is self-inflicted, and I'm doing this because I want to do this. And one of the sayings that I heard probably about halfway through prep, and it really stuck with me, and it was a saying that was what a privilege it is to feel tired
Yeah.
pursuing the goals that I love. And I'd have moments like daily coming into the last couple of weeks where I'm a little bit more depleted, energy's a little bit more scarce, and I'm looking at my watch and, I've only done 1,300 steps today. And I'm like, oh my God, I've still got another 11,000 to go. And I'd be out, you know, a mindless 2 hour walk,
Yeah.
walking along. And then I'd be like, oh my God, this sucks. And then I'd have that little saying come into my
Yeah.
head and it'd put a big smile on my face. I'm like, you know what? How good's this?
Yeah.
I'm literally doing the thing that I want to do. I love this. I feel tired, but hey, it is what it is.
I think
Do
it's
you
so
know what I mean?
important. Yeah. I love that saying too. That definitely like trended for a bit. And I think it's so important because it is. I think so many, like you said, so many people start a prep and then it's like they like switch up. It's like what's going on? It's like, yo, like I gotta box in. This is game time.
Yeah,
This
you
is
don't, you
like,
don't you don't hear from that person like
yeah,
I'm prepping, I'm 20 weeks out. It's like, oh cool. Do you want to go for a coffee? Can't.
yeah.
Oh, well, do you want to like maybe catch up and go for a walk? Can't.
Yeah.
Why? I'm in prep. And
It's
like,
like
what do you mean?
it's
Are you in
crazy.
jail as well? Like, why can't I see you anymore?
And I
Do you know
think,
what I mean?
yeah, and I think that's the thing. Like, I think those people, instead of like, I think having that mindset, like you're choosing to do this, you're choosing to do this, you're choosing to take this time. So it is a privilege. You don't need to like, shut everything out. And I think it's great to hear that, you worked with Dean and was able to have those moments to still go to a cafe and have your poached eggs and your sourdough.
Yeah. I think like what we spoke about before, I think it's important to appreciate the little things.
Hmm.
And Alex Hormozy, who's
Yeah, I love Alex.
an awesome podcaster, and one of the things that he says, and he tries to reframe, and it's like, how small of a win can I have during a day or a week
Hmm.
where that's the highlight of my week or the highlight of my day. Even if I'm having a string of bad days and I get to the end of the week and it's like, you know what? I was tired all week. I buggered up my elbow at the gym. I did this, I did that. But you know what? On Sunday, I get to go out and have breakfast with my partner and have a coffee. And we had a really good conversation. And you know what? That made my whole week. So I
Yeah.
think when you start reframing things, um, it really helps you as well because I think again, like these people that lock themselves away in prep and become isolated, it's not good for their mental
Hmm.
health as well. And I think like in this industry, especially using performance enhancing drugs,
Can be bad.
there's a lot of people that do struggle with mental health, and using certain compounds is only going to enhance it. So I think making sure that you keep everything as per normal. Don't treat prep as like, I'm going ghost mode, I've got to do this. It's like, if anything, you should be surrounding yourself with other like-minded people
Hmm.
and like keeping that
Lifting
positive
yourself up.
reinforcement. Yeah, exactly. Because that's the thing. I try and only like myself. I do have like I'd say a relatively small group of people around me. It's grown a lot in the last couple of weeks with all the guys that I've been chatting to and everything, like with the
Yeah.
competitions that, and a lot of people have reached out for support, which is again, it's crazy because again, I don't see myself as I don't see myself as someone special when it comes to
Yeah.
bodybuilding. I'm just a guy that likes to go to the gym, eat food, and lift weight. You know what I mean? And whatever happens from there,
Happens.
fantastic. And yeah,
Very
again,
humble.
yeah, well, it, again like bodybuilding's not special. It's
Hmm.
it's it's one of those things. It's bodybuilding is very simple when you break it down, and it's like who can do this monotonous
Yeah.
eating food and lifting weights and tracking this, who can do it the longest. And the person who's going to do it the longest and the most consistently is going to,
Will succeed.
is yeah, they're going to progress. And that's it at the end of the day. Um, yeah, I think it's so important, especially being in Australia. Um, Bodybuilding is kind of seen, I guess you could say, more of like a cult. It's
Yeah.
it's whereas going over to America, it's seen as a religion. So, you know, to say that I want to pack up, move to America in a heartbeat would be an understatement.
Yeah.
It's literally looking at house prices and everything in Tampa, Florida. I'm like, hey, babe, what
Possible.
do you reckon? She's like,
Yeah.
stop it. But it's hard here in Australia because we are seen as like kind of outcast in a way, and social media has become is making it more of like more of a community in
Yeah.
a way, but also too, I think the community that's creating is a very for bodybuilders not the greatest community because us as bodybuilders, we go into the gym and we want to hit our sessions, we want to do this, we want to do that. And then we see a group of seven school kids over on their phone holding pieces of equipment. We see these people with tripods set up who haven't been training for longer than 3 months, recording themselves, telling them about their fitness journey. And you know what? I'm all for that. I'm not someone who's going to blast this person and go, you should be training longer to do this. Hey, if you want to film the journey, I'm all for it. But, I feel like here in Australia, it would be nice to have some more bodybuilding dedicated gyms.
Yes.
So it's like I was talking to Cam George, and I was like, I would love to open my own gym and make it a bodybuilding hub for like Gold Coast or Brisbane,
Yeah.
wherever it be
That'd be
located.
awesome.
But the thing that I would like to do as well is there's an interview process for you to actually join the gym.
Oh, that's cool.
So like I'd only want like-minded people
Yeah.
that are like, you sit down with it might be like literally a 5 minute consult and be like, hey, what are your goals? What are you
Mm.
looking at achieving? I just want to see if your morals and your goals align with like what this gym represents. So then when you're going into that gym, you know that every single person in there is working towards a goal. They're not just there to film themselves. They're not just there to waste time. They're there like, and it's motivating going to those gyms. Like training at MI40, I could tell you right
Yeah.
now that there's no one that's buggering on their phone. Like you look over there's buddy Martin Fitzwater getting after it. You look over there, there's Jordan Hutchinson who's like 3 days out from the Texas Pro training, and
That's awesome.
you're
It's
like this is
encouraging. It's like exciting. Like I
that's what
remember,
and that's what I mean. And it's I feel like there's no gyms in Australia. I think the only from coming back from Melbourne, Melbourne would still be the bodybuilding hub for Australia.
yeah,
Going to gyms like Michael Lucy's gym, undefeated, one gym as well. Those gyms you walk in there
yeah,
and it's like IFBB Pro, IFBB Pro, IFBB Pro. High level amateur, and everyone's just training hard, and everyone's just encouraging each other too.
mm,
There's no like looking over your shoulder. There's no like, look at this guy doing that.
yeah.
That's what I find. The higher level the athlete, the more humble and the more like giving they are. Like they just want to help people. Um,
I
I've,
think it's very, very, very true. Like that's something like I've been finding really frustrating about like commercial gyms, and it's even like unfortunately like with Doherty's like since moving down to Melbourne, I love Doherty's, but it's like it is has slightly become a bit. I think that's what's that's why I think what Mike's done with Undefeated and what they've done with One Gym, it is more that private style space where
yeah, I think
Doherty's,
it's fantastic what he's
yeah,
doing as well. And I messaged him because I ended up training with Bobby Randall, who or Robert, who
when
won
his
the
weight class,
under 80s. And
yeah,
yeah, and me and him are really, really good friends. And I was like, hey, you want to get in a session? Like, this was a day or two post show. And he's like, yeah, where do you want to go? I was like, I'll message Mike and I'll see if we can get into the gym. So I messaged Mike. He's like, man, you're more than welcome to come in. And went into the gym. There's Dashi, who's just won his
yeah, pro
pro
card,
card. There's a couple of other classic boys who've won their class. There's a couple of bodybuilders that did really, really well. And I'm like, this is what it's all about. And then
yeah,
you
it's
look over
awesome,
and Mike's got a team training session. He's training legs and he's sending all these guys through a leg session. The noises and everything. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is cool. This is
yeah,
where I want to be. So, um, having gyms like that, I think are really important. And even like chatting to some of the guys, I was like, why don't once a month or once every 2 months, like we organize a trip down to
yeah,
Melbourne, and we'll just like get a small Airbnb, 5, 6 days, and let's just go train there. We can shoot a bit of content. Not that that's what I do, but I've been told that I need to do a bit more because people are fascinated with me and how I train and all that.
yeah,
And I'm like, I don't know why you find me interesting. Honestly, I'm just a little guy that likes to fucking lift weights. But yeah, I think doing things like that, trying to build more of a community, and also to like it'd be nice to have that over here in like the Gold Coast, Brisbane area. Like we've just had the Powerhouse gym open, like Southside Recovery,
yeah,
which is arguably from all the gyms that I've been to, probably in the top 3 to 5 gyms in Australia. Like there's over 100 pieces of kit that are done by Panada. There's some really good, and again, like you walk into that gym, great gym, no personality, no vibe. Like
yeah.
it's hard
It's hard,
because again, a gym can have all the pieces of equipment in the world,
but
but
still
if
be
it
shit.
doesn't, yeah, and
I
yeah,
feel you.
exactly, man, exactly. Like even my home gym, Ashmore, which is an amazing gym. It's like
Oh,
the OG Wells,
yeah,
and
that's like my first, like one of my first gyms, like literally where this is from, the OG Ashmore before all the way renovated. When Alan was there, Sam was there, Logan was there. Like that was
awesome,
the
bro.
shit. Like it was like the closest thing to like yeah, Gold Coast, Brisbane's like old school vibe gym. It
Yeah,
was
it's the
just so
closest thing to
good.
getting over the States and training at Golds over in like
Yeah.
Venice or something like that. And, they've just recently had some big upgrades and like some new equipment, everything put in. It's fantastic. And they've also attached like a bit of a CrossFit Hyrox bit.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, nah, I don't know. So,
It's hard. It-
because obviously at the end of the day, gyms need to make money.
yeah,
So they need to
that's what I was gonna
attract
say.
certain crowds. So, and then just training in there like the last week, I'm like, it's lost a little bit of that
That atmosphere.
bodybuilding.
Well, even when it did the first set of renovations.
Yeah,
Um, even that when that happened, they made that leg room and that all kind of expanded. Even I felt like it had like immediately lost that grittiness and because then Sam had left and Aaron was kind of like not training there as much. And then Sam and because I was gonna say, have you trained at Sam's gym, Iron Asylum?
I did a photo shoot post nationals there, but I haven't really trained there. It's somewhere where I'm probably going to look at training
Yeah.
a little bit more so.
It's nice. I really liked it. I think Sam's done a good job. Like, I know he's not there and he's in Dubai, so I haven't been there in
Yeah,
ages. But
well,
when he first,
from what I heard over the weekend, he doesn't own it anymore.
oh, okay,
So it's been bought out by I think Kathy.
oh yeah, one of his,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
I'm pretty sure that I think Sam obviously still plays a part in it,
yeah,
but I think like she's the new owner or however long it's been. So that's just some rumblings that I've heard,
yeah,
but
yeah.
who knows if it's true or not. Again, like I don't really I don't get caught up with that type of stuff. Out of
Trying
sight,
to
out of
stay out
mind.
of it. Yeah.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
I 100% agree with you because like what I was gonna say was I went and had the privilege of training at Jackson Peso's gym in Bali, undefeated. And
Okay.
that was fucking like I've like become such like I guess like a snob with like that gym atmosphere and that vibe, and I love like that old school gritty feel, and it feels like a community. Everyone's there to just train, and that really bodybuilding esque. And even though he's like it has this modern feel to it, he is really making that bodybuilding athlete. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be capped, but he's like combined like UFC training camp with obviously, pro bodybuilding. So the facility is like like inspired by UFC training facilities, but then the
Yep.
actual, atmosphere and equipment is all like yeah, bodybuilding. Because obviously,
Yeah,
he men's
exactly.
physique pro and that. And yeah, I saw Jordan up there before he started the prep and he was looking huge and just Jackson was there before he
Still
got really
looking huge,
sick
man.
and stuff. Pardon?
I said he's still looking huge.
Yeah,
He's a big individual, and I when we went and trained at Mike's, I was just like, how does this guy make the weight cut?
I know it's crazy. He
Wild.
must be on the edge.
Yeah, well, I think the good thing now is obviously he's got his pro card, and I think I think he gets an extra three
Three
kilos with
kilos,
his
yeah.
cut, which is like in bodybuilding terms, 3 kilos is massive. So
Yeah.
um, so that's really exciting, and obviously he's got like Neil Hill coaching him as well,
Mm.
one of obviously the best coaches in the world. So I'm sure like the next things that he does are going to be very, very special. And, he has a very, very bright future
Yes.
in the classic division.
And
So,
he's got great work ethic. So he's
oh
just
man, he's
finally
from
seeing
what
him get that win.
I've never had the privilege of like chatting with him. But I've heard a lot of people within my group of people, like group of friends,
Hmm.
only say like great things about him and being like, you've never met someone more driven. Like, because I remember it might have been last year or the year before. I swear he just competed I swear he
Yeah.
did like 10 shows or something.
Yeah, he
And
went over to
he
Europe.
was
So
over in
after,
Japan. He did
yeah.
this, he did that. I was like, man, this guy's getting after it. Like, good on him. I think it's very underrated. Like, especially here in Australia, unfortunately, like we've only got 2 seasons. We've got
Mm.
season A and season C. And obviously there's that big gap in between. So it does give a little bit less opportunity for us to essentially do shows here in Australia. Even like, New Zealand, it'd be cool to see if like
Yeah.
New Zealand could do some more amateur shows and everything like that. So, give us the opportunity
Because
to,
they've got that pro show.
yes, I heard. Yeah, I was talking to Tony about that, and that they've got that organized. But for more sense, like setting up a phase. So it's like I'm going to do season A, which normally falls around that April March, and
Mm.
then I want to see where I land. And while I'm in good shape, I want to go over and do a show at like Texas, or I want to do this over
Yeah.
here, or like so I'm qualified to do these shows. So you know hopefully closer to America. Do you know what I mean? Because it's on the other side of the world. So I think that's another thing about us in Australia. Like we're very isolated
Yeah,
from
it's
the uh,
hard.
the other bodybuilding capitals, I guess you could say, like South America
Mm.
and everything like that. So
And even
um,
the judging criteria is different too.
oh, for sure, I found like with the IFBB Australia judging, especially when it comes to men's physique. So like, they're rewarding these guys who obviously they have great physiques. But I remember I've seen some guys jump on stage and, a smaller guy's rewarded the win, which is completely fine. Where there's another guy where he's got more of that like classic upper body,
Yeah.
but still like super streamlined. And I'm just like, well, you could give that guy the win, who's going to be pretty much able to walk straight onto a
To
pro
a pro
show and
show.
hold his own, or you're going to give it to the guy that you have given it to, who's a little bit more streamlined, not as muscular, and he does his first pro show and he absolutely gets walloped. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because everything's bigger in America. Everything's
Yeah.
bigger as soon as we get overseas. Everything's bigger, whether it's classic, whether it's men's physique, any category there is. Like it's like king size.
Yeah.
Everything like that. What's that movie? The document Super Size Me.
Oh, yeah.
That's America. That's like Europe. When you get your pro card there and you step over into the deep sea,
Mm.
um,
It's a whole
yeah,
new
I
ball
think
game. Starting at the bottom.
exactly, and it's yeah, it's one of those things. It is what it is. It's again, it's just how it is here in Australia, and you know, the cream will always rise to the top. The best athletes will always win the pro card. And then from there, you'll see if they have what it takes to, like go to that higher level and hold their own. Guys like Aaron, guys like Cam,
Mm.
um,
Like the classic Matt.
Alexandra, like Alexandra, who got a pro
Yeah,
card
dude.
in bikini, and she's done the Olympia.
And Danny,
Matt
he's doing
Orchid,
the
all these
Olympia
other guys,
again.
Alex Connors, like
Yeah.
they can step on a pro stage and they don't look out of sorts. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's really important. So yeah.
Do you have any plans on doing another overseas show, or is that what's in your 18-month plan? A little
Yeah,
spoiler? Or are you
yeah.
gonna wait?
So I've got to write it down, and I want to just because Dean has some things that he wants to discuss with me first, and he's like, I want to like run this by you and see what you think. He hasn't kind of like he's just kind of like just
Teasing.
hinted at whatever
Yeah.
this is. But realistically, the things that I expect of myself, uh, I'd like to look at doing a show within probably the next. I'd like to have a good 10 to maybe 12, 14 months off to grow to bring
Yeah.
up more so just upper body. That's legs are always going to do what they're going to do with me.
Yeah.
Like legs, I'm only really hitting them once every like 10 days. So super low volume, maybe like 7 sets in that leg session, and legs just respond the way that they respond. So something that I need to bring up is like my width through my shoulders, bring up my chest more, and then just some more thickness through arms and back. So like what I'm essentially going to discuss with Dean is the next time I step on stage, I'm going to win my pro card.
Yeah.
And when I win the pro card, I want to jump straight into like a 212 show within like a short turnaround. Like I want to win the pro card,
And then go
and then
into
from there it's like cool. There's a show in 3 weeks in Atlanta or Japan or wherever it is. I want to jump on there. I want to jump straight on stage and see where I stack up with the pros,
mm,
and then go from there.
mm.
So that's realistically,
I can see that happening. Like I said to you before even jumping on the podcast, like you're right on that cusp. Like I said, I'm intrigued to see what the overall scorecards were. Like I understand, Chris, he's amazing physique, super
Oh
young,
man,
an incredible future ahead of him.
insane.
But
Has
it was
probably
like
the
apples
best
and
structure there
oranges.
is.
Could have gone either way. You could have won it. He could have won it. Like
Yeah. Well,
so.
that's it. At the end of the day, I did have a lot of individuals reach out to me and send me voice messages and be like, I had you winning the overall.
Yeah,
Um, you know, conditioning was awesome.
amazing.
You're very balanced. Um, but again, like you said, it's apples and oranges. And I appreciate all these messages that I got from these people. But at the end of the day, it's the judges that count.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? The judges saw Chris as the winner, and he deserved it.
yeah, he did.
I seeing that guy backstage, man, it's wild. Like he's very reminiscent of like a Derek Lunsford or like a Keon, where like
Yeah,
he looks
got
good
that
when he's standing there,
tiny
and then all of
waist.
a sudden he just opens up into that
Yeah.
front double or front relax, and his waist just goes up, and his shoulders just go up, and then you're like, holy
Like,
shit, what's going
damn.
on here? So I think it's I think I think it could have been a little bit closer if, for instance, let's say judging criteria, you come out and you start from the back.
Yeah,
I reckon first impressions mean everything. So as soon as you see
yeah.
that person on stage and they go into whatever the pose it is, they're like, all right, okay, eyes are here. So, you know,
He draws that attention immediately.
because I was so dry and tight through the posterior and like it
Yeah.
could have been like, oh wow, look at the hamstrings, look at this, look at that. So, but again, it is what it is. It's it just means that I have a little bit more time up my sleeve to make the improvements
And
where I need to.
exactly. And I think
Because of
that,
like if I think realistically, if I was to win that, and I was to like jump in a pro show 18 months from then to now, it might not be the best look.
that's
But
right.
at
And
least
I
but
think
at least like giving me this period of time and getting the feedback from the judges and everything, it's like cool. I've got a plan in place. I know what I need to execute,
hmm.
and I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. So
And that's the main thing. Like everything happens for a reason. And with your plan of wanting to, that's right. If you won this show and you were to go straight into a pro show, 212 show, may not have got the results you wanted. You won your show, grew, then did a 212, may not have had the best, as good of a showing as maybe, like you said, doing this growth now, winning the show, and then going straight into a pro show. Because like you look to me better at nationals. So you're someone who like as you do one show to another show, you get better and better. And so sometimes it's like the advantage of going, yeah, just won my pro card, cool. Let me push another 2 weeks. Here's a pro show, and you're just only going to get better. So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
all
that's
happens for a
exactly right.
reason.
Yeah, I think so as well, man. And it's one of those things like um again, like going back to what we started on, uh me and Dean while I was in America and I did the Texas show over there. Afterwards, like we were talking about, Queensland's and nationals, and he's like, Ryan, what are your expectations of yourself for this season? And I go, realistically, I want to win whatever class that I fall into, whether that's like the light heavyweights or the heavyweights. And then I want to jump on the overall stage and I want to win the overalls. And then when it comes to nationals, I would love to place top three in whichever class I fall in. But ideally, I would love to win the class, and then I would like to get into the overalls and not look out of place.
Hmm.
And when we touched on this on Monday, he's like, "You did everything you said you were going
Yeah.
to do," and that was a big like validation for
Yeah.
me to
Good
know
pat on the
that like,
back.
yeah, exactly. So if I was to win, it would have been like
Seated.
the cherry on top. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? But everyone's like, "Oh, you must be a little bit disappointed. You must be," and I'm like, "No, not at all. Like it's honestly, it still hasn't sunk in. Like I'm still sitting here, and I've had like hundreds of messages from people being like, congratulations, all that, blah 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 blah," and I'm like, "Thanks, it's awesome." And they're like, "Oh, like you're pretty laid back about it," and I was like, "Yeah, I guess like." Maybe in a couple of weeks, or who knows when it'll hit me that I
Yeah.
actually was at like, I like even winning the overalls at Queensland was like a shock for me. And like Tony's like unanimous winner, and I was like, oh, Frank's probably got it. Like he looks really good. Or um, yeah. And then they called my name. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then
Oh
I'm just
fuck yeah,
sitting there. I
that's
was
cool.
like, oh, look at this thing. That's pretty cool. So again, like I'm someone who I believe in myself and I believe in like uh, the great things that I can do, but I also suffer terribly from imposter syndrome.
It's
And
a
I even
killer.
look at
It's a
photos
killer.
from the show and I'm just like, ah, oh, he looks better than me. This
Yeah.
looks crap. This looks crap. And then and then someone will send me like a photo. I'm like, oh wow, that looks cool. I'm like, who's that? And like, oh, that's you from like that shot. And this, and I'm like, oh,
Oh shit!
okay,
Wow.
you know
Look,
what, it
not too
looks okay.
bad.
It looks all right, I guess. So um, I think that's another reason as well that I can progress, and I always, I am very hard on myself, which I think, is a good trait to have.
Mm,
Like never being satisfied with like my results and everything
yeah.
like that. Everyone's like, you got this and you got this, and I'm like, yeah, it's awesome. So now I can get better and I can do this and I can do that. And they're like, well, aren't you happy? And I'm like, yeah, I'm happy, but I'm never satisfied. Like I
Mm,
think that's the most important thing is, um, never get too comfortable with,
yes.
and never get too comfortable and never be satisfied or never like, don't surround yourself with too many yes men or
Yes,
like
I
people in
agree.
your life where,
Yeah.
you know, you're going to win, you're going to do this. And I'm like, who are you? You're not a judge. Like,
Yeah.
friggin, why do I care what you say? Because, the more people that you have to essentially inflate that head of yours, then you can lose focus and you can lose that, that original drive that you had
Mm,
towards that goal. It's like, you're killing it. You're doing awesome. You're like, yeah, you know what? I am. I'm not going to do my extra steps today. I might actually chill out and I might
mm,
do this. And you know what? I might have an extra friggin' egg or I might have a little bit of like ice cream and these things. It's like, I think it's just important to, make sure that you've got a vision in your mind and make sure that you make a promise to yourself and you stick to that. Because every time you look in the mirror, you can look at yourself and know that, you're doing everything you can to get to the place where I realistically want to be.
mm. It's so important. I think satisfaction equals complacency, which then like stops ambitions. If you're ambitious and you then learn to become satisfied with what you have, you're just stopping yourself from like reaching your goals because then you start to get complacent, like you kind of said.
Yeah, it's like I won't be able to quote it correctly, but I remember Joe Rogan talking about it's like, hard times, hard men create easy times,
Yeah.
easy times create soft men create hard times, hard times create like hard
Yeah.
men. So it's like that
That
circle. So
circle. Yeah.
yeah, I think for people to ensure that they're always progressing and they're having something to strive towards. That can be within bodybuilding, it can be within relationships, it can be within like work, whatever like you find passionate. You need to have something hard there.
Mm,
You need to have that thing that like it might be 5 years away, it might be 10 years away. And then ensuring that you've got those little wins along the way that just keep you invested and keep you going towards that. So, that's like me and like, okay, the next show's in 18 months or whatever it is. Okay, what can I do in the next week? What can I do in the next months? What can I do
mm,
here? Break it down. So there's that linear progression. I'm always on that up. Like I'm never having a period of like, what have I done the last 3 months?
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't look back and be like, I didn't really progress too much over that. It's like, but if we're having those goals and everything, whether it's business wise, oh, that's right. I was able to pick up two new competitors and I had these people compete and they placed really well. One won their show. If it's bodybuilding, it's like, oh, well, I'm up 3 kilos. I look at my photos. Well, I haven't really shifted any more body fat. My lifts have gone up. Everything's feeling good. And, I was having an issue with my hamstrings. That's been resolved. Like just those little things. It's always good to have them into place just so we can ensure that like it's giving us more so that reassurance that we are on the right
Mm.
path and we
It's a
are doing what we need
compounding
to.
effect to success.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, I'd love to, just before we wrap it up, love to ask you a little fun question, seeing though the
Yes, sir.
Olympia is so soon. Who do you have in your top six?
My top six. Okay. So um, I think realistically, from what I've seen from all the guys, I think the top two could be like obviously swapped.
Hmm.
So I do want to see Nick win, but I have a good feeling that Hardy's going to win. Um, so I'd say Hardy's going to get first. I think Nick will get second. I think Samson will pin third. Derek will get fourth. I think Derek's going to drop down a bit this year. I think more so just because you can see how close it was between Derek and Nick at Pittsburgh, which realistically, from
Should have been
95% of what
Nick.
everybody said, Nick should
Yeah,
have won. And Nick's only gotten better from there. So
he's looking
Nick's
unreal.
Nick's conditioning is going to be absolutely wild. Hardy's conditioning is going to be absolutely wild. Samson's going to be more conditioned from what I've seen from his guest posing, and also, I've seen. Well, it's like, look at Samson, he's got skull
Yeah,
face.
the
I'm like,
skull
oh,
face.
cool.
I saw that
He's
just
finally
before.
he's finally dieting. You know what I mean? He's finally getting lean. This is great. So I think even like a downsized Samson, I think he'd be like a little bit more
Yeah.
streamlined, I guess. But I think that'll be too overwhelming. Like he's just a big structure,
Hmm.
and I think Hardy and Nick have that wow factor,
Yeah.
more so with the graininess and the conditioning, where Derek has like the wow factor from the back. Um, but other than that, like some of his shots aren't like super impressive, and I can't talk because I'm a fucking blah blah blah, blah just coming from a spectator. And
Yes.
then from there, coming in fifth, I saw this morning, for whatever reason, I was up at 2 o'clock this morning. I saw Baruz just got approved
Yeah, I
in
got
his
his
visa.
visa. Yeah.
So I would love to see. I think it'll be a really good battle between Baruz, Andrew Jack, and Martin. I think
Yeah.
that'll be like that kind of top 6, 7. It'd be fantastic. I think that'll be kind of like miss. I'll probably see Martin. I could see Martin getting that fifth spot, and then it's a flip of the coin with Baruz because we haven't really seen Baruz stand next to like those high level, like
Yeah.
we've seen him stand next to Nexzilla, we've seen him stand next to um, Nathan Diasha, uh, William Bonac. We've never really seen him stand next to like a top 6 guy. So I think,
Well, we'll be interested to see if he could even top Derek. Like that's the thing. Like I think even Martin and Derek could be really close because that was the whole thing with last year's Olympia.
yeah,
Even though, Derek was supposedly a bit off, but some people had Martin even winning. So if like Brazook does come in and that, he could really like, yeah, take over Derek. It is it I think I like your I think that top three really is Hardy, Nick, Sampson can really flow. And I
hmm.
think that 4 to 5 can really interchange between those three. And then I think, yeah, Andrew Jack just kind of, unfortunately, just sits there, whether that's that sixth or fifth.
Yeah, I think it's just, I think with Andrew, it just comes down to obviously conditioning, but it's also like, I know that when he's done, I think it was Texas last year, like he did come in leaner, but he
Yeah.
does lose a lot of that wow factor and pop. But the fact that, he jumped into that European show this year, it's given him a lot longer to kind of like get ready because
Yeah.
normally he'd just do Texas and then it's like 6, 7 weeks after it's Olympia. Where that one where he jumped in and he looked like he was about 14 weeks out and still won because it was, well, he nearly got beat by Sasan.
Yeah. It was kind of
Sasan's got an amazing physique too, man. I love
insane.
Sasan's physique, but I think that's going to give him a longer period of time to like diet down and like
Yeah.
hold more tissue. So it's one of those things like if Andrew Jack comes in shredded, like him and Samson are fighting it out. You
Mm.
know what I mean? Like it's again, he's got one of those physiques. You see him come in and just open up, and like for someone that tall to have like those quads and how round they are, and like small midsection, like how detailed he is, like in his like ab and thighs, like he's got some amazing shots. He does lack that little bit of conditioning and density through the backside, but again, it's like you know when you're in the top 6, top 7, it's not like you're skewing your nose at that. If you're finishing sixth at the Olympia,
Yeah,
you're pretty
sixth in
good.
the world.
You're a pretty
Yeah.
good bodybuilder, aren't you? Do you know what I mean?
100%.
So, but yeah, I think I would love to see Baruz shake things up because I could see Baruz as high as third.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because
Because it'd be nice to see him next to Samson as well.
man, and like he's someone who like if you're not in shape, Baruz, it will
Mm.
be like he's got the Middle Eastern, he's got the dryness, he's got
Extra.
he's
Yeah.
got the him and Hardy are going to be like the two most
Yeah.
conditioned guys up there because like um yeah, the conditioning is like like that's their
Next level.
yeah, and
I'm a
Baruz
massive
has
fan
brought
of
up some of
Hardy.
his body parts and everything as well, and he's quite balanced and man, it's honestly, it's probably going to be one of the best Olympias, if not the best Olympia to date for like
Yeah.
competitiveness within that, like that top 10. You've got guys like Jordan Hutchinson coming in, where's Good Vito going to land? Like, all these, like, I did the predictions on Bro Chat the other day, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm putting Brandon Curry in 10th. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And he's like he's won the Mr. Olympia, and I'm like, what?
How
who
does this
else is in
work?
here if I'm putting him in 10th?
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? But like,
it's exciting.
again, yeah, bro, very, very exciting.
It's and then you even have like I think people it's interesting you got someone like Urs coming in now. It's like, yeah, could he just somehow just randomly get into that top 10? Like there's that whole thing
Yeah.
of where he could be like 8th to 12th, and I think he doesn't expect himself to be so far in, but he
Mm.
does have those good, like, amazing structure, and he can. It's like it's funny. It's like
He's
obviously
posing.
Andrew, someone can
He'll be the
overtake
best poser
him,
there.
but yeah, showing able to show you physique, where a lot of some of these top guys, their issue is that they can't show their physique properly, and it can just be
Exactly.
something as
That's
minuscule.
such a big thing that people don't understand too when it comes to bodybuilding. You can have the best physique up there, but if you
Mm.
can't display it, then what's the use of it? That's a big thing with posing as well. You could see like when Urs is up there, there's a level of professionalism when it
Yeah.
comes to it. Like, he's hitting his quarter turns and everything's like everything's just perfect. Everything's
Mm.
fluid. So I could definitely I could see Urs like breaking into the top 10. I can't see him getting any higher than like I'd say ninth would be probably the highest I could see him there.
Yeah.
Like realistically, I can see him in that kind of 9 to 13 range would be
Yeah.
there because I can see him beating guys. Like I can see him beating like a Jordan Hutchinson. I can see him beating like a Vitali. I
I
can
mean,
see him. Yeah, good Vito. I can see him bit like I could see him kind of like just on the verge of like a Curry. Him and Curry will
yeah,
be a good
and even
matchup.
Bonac, like those three together standing will be
Yeah,
really nice.
I've got Bonac. I think around like that 8 or 9. Like I think one of my favorite matchups we'll see will be Bonac and Antonio Burton
Yeah,
because I think
he's
they're
great.
very like Antonio is like the new age Dexter
Yeah,
Jackson, and Bonac's just had this
blow
revitalization
up.
of his physique. And like
Yeah,
I saw some updates the other day, and I'm like, he's looking even better than what he did for Detroit. And I'll
literally.
never forget watching because like I bought the live stream for Detroit, and just when he walked down on stage and he hit the first pose, I was like, what the
It
fuck?
was
Like
insane.
this is Bonac from like 2019. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
this is vintage Bonac, and like if
it's
he
great
can
to
bring
see.
that, like he nearly what was he nearly beat Martin at Pittsburgh when Martin
Yeah,
came off. Like there was some judges that were like kind of giving it to
giving to
Bonac. So
Bonac.
I think that's something that Martin really needs to concentrate on as well. Like Martin looks great, but he has to come in dialed,
Yeah.
or else like you're gonna have the more shapely guys.
He needs more
More
confidence on stage. Just like that. Imagine Martin with like that Urs confidence of posing. Because
yeah.
that's what stops Martin from like because that's how he starts to like, lose his structure and his confidence on stage, starts posing
He's even
badly,
spoken
starts
about it. Like he's posing and like cortisol gets up. Like he
yeah.
spoke about it when he competed against Chris at Prague.
Yeah.
And like arguably, I thought Chris should have won that show. Just
I'll
again,
agree.
like
It's
better
close.
posing, conditioning was better. Um, just overall, the package that Chris
Mm.
bought was a lot more complete. Like at the end of the day, I understand it is open bodybuilding, but Chris isn't much smaller than Martin, like pound for pound. Like Martin's around that like 240. I think Chris was around 240, 250, something like that. Obviously, Chris is a lot taller, but it is like apples and oranges. It is
Yeah.
what it is.
Which is what the judges feel like doing on the day.
Yeah, and I think like it's interesting to hear when I've spoken to Cam as well. Certain judges like certain things.
Yeah.
So I know Steve Weinberger, who obviously is like the head judge of the Olympia. He's a mass guy. He loves muscle. Like he'd rather you come in a little bit spilt and full to the house than like dialed. Whereas like Tyler Mannion,
Yeah. Once you
he
shred
wants you
it.
diced. He wants you to
Yeah.
the bone. Like so, I think it's strategic in that sense as well. So pretty cool.
Yeah. It's very, very, very exciting. Good time for bodybuilding.
I
That's what
think
we
so.
love to see.
It's alive and well, isn't it?
Yes. Well, thank you so much for jumping on and having a chat. It's been an absolute pleasure. And thank you
Oh
for your
man,
time. And
anytime, man.
congratulations on your success so far. And can't wait to see what these next 18 months will do and where you're going to end up.
No, I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much for getting me on board. And, again, thanks for reaching out. It means a lot. And mate, only wish the best for you and your future endeavors. And
Thank you.
if you want to catch up in the future for a
Yeah,
session or even another
definitely.
podcast, I'd be more than happy to jump on, man.
100%. It was a shame that things didn't line up correctly while you were down here, but I'm excited for like, yeah, working
I'll be
something out.
back, brother. Don't you worry. I'll be back down that way.
Be awesome. Well, thank you.
Awesome, man.
Hope you enjoy the rest of your day.